In episode number 360 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the Disney Plus pricing plan and what this could mean for Netflix.
We also have Kevin Smith's thoughts on the Snyder Cut. Does he have insider information that we don't?
Our comic book highlight or review this week is the Sensational Spider-Man Self-Improvement number 1, which is the original concept for Black Suit Spidey.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more, right here on this Podcast Awards nominated podcast. Not this year yet. We'll find out by the time the next episode comes out.
I was so excited. I was like, were you keeping this from me? I was so excited.
2017 and 2018, though, maybe 2019. I am Scientist Daniel this week.
And I am Emperor of Alpha Kelli.
Due to that clear cold now.
It's clearing up, but you know how like you get a head cold, right? And you're like snot city for like 4 days and then it just moves into your chest. Mm-hmm. Like moves out of the parents' house up in the sinus cavities and like into your chest. So that's where I am. I have been sick since we recorded the last show. I have not been sick, which sucks, but it's all in my chest. So I have that like 20-year smoker voice or like might be a man, but we're not quite sure voice.
It's Emperor, like you said.
Yes.
But the way the show goes is first we go through some news. We head into our Patreon shoutouts, which are the thank yous to everyone that makes the show possible. We go into the comic book review for the week, and finally we end it with the Bro Kept Block, which is where Palpa Kelly and I have been this week.
This first bit of news might be exciting for a lot of people, my grandpa especially, but Viacom has signed a deal with Jim Davis for ownership of the comic strip character Garfield.
So previous owner Jim Davis had this to say in a statement, quote, "I'm delighted that Garfield is going to be placed in the capable hands of the folks at Nick. They know how to entertain and will be great stewards for the franchise. I'm also excited to continue to do the thing that gets me out of bed every morning, the comic strip," end quote.
The 74-year-old artist plans to continue the comic strip with the assistance of other writers and artists.
So Nickelodeon already has plans for Garfield. They are developing a new animated series, and Viacom will be managing the merchandise. Do you think Garfield will kind of get into the spotlight more now under Nickelodeon's watch? I
think so. Definitely, they're going to bring a fresh take to it. If you think about the way like memes are and stuff right now, like Grumpy Cat was fucking huge. Like Garfield is the ultimate Grumpy Cat.
the OG Grumpy Cat.
OG Grumpy Cat. Like he just sat around and ate his lasagna and complained about things and hated that stupid little dog. Odie? Mm-hmm. Odie was his name. So growing up, Garfield wasn't for me. I remember like my grandpa loved it. He had read all the comics, like he had Garfield everything. We watched the Garfield show with him. Loved Garfield. I never really got into it, but people love cats, like, too much.
They do. They do like, cats are not deserving of the love that people give them.
0%.
Like, I'm sorry if you're a cat person, but they're kind of, every
they're
cat
assholes.
I've met is an asshole.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
all of them,
they are.
100%.
And even cat owners like Scott and people from LGG, they're like, yeah, they definitely can be.
So I think Nick will do great things with it if they can make them, I think Garfield shorts would be most impactful because that's something quick you could watch and digest and, kind of like a meme or a Vine or something with Garfield.
I do need to go back and watch more Garfield or read more of the comic strips because I feel like a lot of that would apply to my adult life now. It's been, since I was a kid, I haven't watched or read any Garfield. Through my teens, I did not touch one of those books. One of my best friends, Riggs, had all of the different compilations. He loved them all through his teenage years, and he still has them now.
That's awesome.
So I feel like it'd be a whole different perspective if I actually sat down and read the Jim Davis comic strip, which from what I remember, it's just a very negative outlook on life, and it's just a cat kind of reflecting that in Jim Davis. Is the character the owner? Is that also Jim in the comic strip?
I think so.
Or it's David or something. I don't remember.
David. It was David.
but he's always getting shit on by
Always,
Garfield. And
yeah.
I feel like I would definitely like it more, especially now. Nickelodeon has previously purchased the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird back in 2009. And of course, Kevin Eastman is still very involved with the Turtles, as we have seen with the current TMNT ongoing series. And I believe that was even after Nickelodeon had purchased the Turtles. Mm-hmm. He still plots it with another writer, and he is very involved in that whole property. So it seems like Nickelodeon is open to letting the creators, or even the original creators, as we've seen with Rocko's Modern Life, still have a play in that whatever it is they're working on.
That's amazing, because it shows that they really recognize that these things got their popularity because of these people, right? So even though it's many years later, even though the world has changed, even though they're decades older, they still bring a lot of value to the things that they created. So good on you, Nickelodeon.
It's not often that we really step foot into the MCU side of things, but because we got some news by Deadpool director David Leitch, I suddenly care a lot more about Deadpool now that it's Disney-owned and it's MCU-owned, and I feel like there's an injustice here.
The director spoke to Yahoo Movies UK about the rating of the film, which is just an injustice.
The rating of this future film, he said, quote, "It's rated R, so that's not necessarily the Marvel Cinematic Universe brand, but he doesn't necessarily need to be R, and Disney don't necessarily need to only make PG-13 movies. I think we'll find a happy ground," end quote. Holy shit, if I were a Deadpool fan, I'd be nervous as fuck. Yeah. I'd be pissed off. I don't know how Ryan Reynolds is still on for this. The only reason he agreed to do the Disney-mandated PG-13 Deadpool 2 cut of that movie, and he said so himself, he's like, the only way I was happy with this is if a portion of the earnings went to charity. And it was a small amount of earnings. I think it was $6 million that they gained from that PG-13. Not enough to go, you know what, maybe we could pull off the PG-13. Disney don't care. They're going to change that fucking brand.
Yeah.
They're going to try to sell more toys, and they're going to try to appeal to the PG-13 crowd. And if Ryan Reynolds decides to quit, guess what they're going to do with Deadpool? They're going to reboot that shit.
Of course
They'll have
are.
A new actor on there. They'll have MCU Deadpool, who is more family-friendly, who can be with the other PG-13 brands.
He'll make poop jokes.
And this is why people are like, no, Deadpool will be there. Yeah, where are the fucking Defenders? Where's Jennifer Jones? Where the fuck is Daredevil right now? He never showed up in Endgame or any of that shit. Where the fuck are they? And no, not one MCU, because you would have seen GIFs of the Defenders on the internet and on Twitter. They would have gotten praised. They didn't show up. Complete silence. And they're forgetting that when they talk about Deadpool and Deadpool 3. And once again, I'm outraged for Deadpool fans.
You're nerd raging for them?
Not even nerd rage. It's more logical, really, because this is why is this cool? But something that is established to be successful, to be R-rated, and now immediately the director's like, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, it is going to be R-rated, but I mean, it doesn't have to be. So that way, when I change it and we decide to go the PG-13 route, then it'll be cool.
You'll be okay with
it'll
it.
Be fine.
Because I'll just tell you, like, it doesn't have to be. It can still be good without that R rating. It'll still be Deadpool.
That's one of my favorite tweets of, well, what's next then? Well, aliens don't have to have chest bursting scenes. I mean, what's the big deal with that? So what?
Well,
it doesn't make it good.
Like, it doesn't have to be on screen. You'll just know that it happens.
The other same tweet was, The Simpsons don't have to be topical. I mean, come on, they don't have to be offensive. Like, South Park, do they really need all that cussing?
No, not South Park.
It sounds ridiculous when you compare it to other brandings, but because it's the MCU sheep, it's cool. It's totally fine.
Something else the MCU sheep are going to be jumping on is the Disney Plus service. And we got some more information about it from CEO Bob Iger when he talked about Disney's third quarter earnings. He revealed that the pricing plan for the Disney Plus, Hulu On Demand, and ESPN Plus will be bundled for $12.99 per month starting on November 12th.
So this pricing plan puts it on par with Netflix's most popular plan, and saves $5 than if you were to have each one separately. The ad-free version of Hulu, though, is not in this plan, so that's going to be extra if you want no commercials in it, while Netflix still remains ad-free with their subscription.
I think a lot of people are just going to jump ship and go over for this.
I'm hearing a lot of people talking about dropping Netflix and going for the Disney Plus plan. I think many people are going to keep both and remain on both subscriptions and move forward from there, especially with Netflix having the original content that they're constantly producing. Things like the Umbrella Academy, if they can keep getting hits like that, that's going to justify, and Riverdale, the re-ups on those, then they can justify keeping these subscribers on and keeping their subscriber numbers high. Other streaming services have, of course, tried to compete with Netflix and haven't been able to topple that king. Do you think that the bundle option here for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus is going to draw subscribers away from Netflix? Will it be enough to end Netflix? The end of Netflix. Rest in peace, Netflix.
No, definitely not, because I think they're two different markets between Disney Plus and Netflix. So, for example, you know, I don't really even use Hulu for anything anymore because I don't have the opportunity to catch up. Like when I want to watch TV shows from cable, they eventually go on Hulu, but I haven't really had the option to keep up with them. So I go directly to Netflix. I would use the Disney Plus for Leo, right? When we want to watch the Disney movies, because those are the movies that he's attracted to. But again, very different markets. For you and I, we like the Netflix show, the original content, all the movies that we can get through there. And then Leo's going to like watching all the Disney movies. So are we probably going to end up with both services? Sure.
You can pay for Disney Plus because there's very little on there that interests me. I can't think of anything that would justify $13.
Mulan?
No, not for $13 a month.
Emperor's New Groove?
I'm good. I have Hunchback of Notre Dame on Blu-ray already. I can see that at any point. If you want to get that pass, by all means, we have Moana on digital thanks to, was it Warner Brothers?
Yeah, I remember I was so angry because we were watching Moana on Netflix every day. And they're like, here's a free movie. And I was like, cool. And they're like, Moana. Yeah. And I was like, fuck you, Warner Brothers. Sending me goddamn Moana. But now I would be lost without it.
Yeah, Warner Brothers have given us Moana, Prisoners. Oh, so good. Yeah. They gave us the Blu-ray version of that too. Ooh. And then Rampage with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
It pays to be on that A-list. I don't know. I can't remember how I got on there. I think it was through one of the Blu-ray slips. I don't recall.
I felt like you kept emailing them, and then they were finally just like, fine.
I don't know if it was that
Here
either.
Here you go.
It definitely helps. And the surveys that they send out every week, I'm happy to do them. Every single 100% of them, I will do them. Recently, they did another one of what animated adaptation would you want on DC from DC Comics this week? And Red Sun was still on there. And I'm like, but that's already happening. Why is this already there? I don't know if they're gauging excitement for it or what.
Did you vote for it again?
Of course I did. Even though it's already coming.
How foolish of me to even ask that. Of course.
But moving on over to the Sony verse of the Marvel universe, which is more or less what we, well, not more or less, we definitely are more fans of what they're doing with Marvel than what Disney's doing. But in a now deleted Instagram post, Venom lead Tom Hardy posted an image of Andy Serkis, who of course is a director and an actor, famous for Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies and recently in the Planet of the Apes.
Serkis was rumored to be in the running to direct Venom 2 for Sony Pictures, which was actually confirmed a few days later via his own Instagram. My Facebook blew up when this happened.
Very positive, yeah.
A lot of people were really excited about that. He previously directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, and starred in the recent, like you said, Planet of the Apes films.
Venom made a whopping $850 million, and Woody Harrelson, amazing actor, is set to return as Carnage. In spite of the terrible reviews, it got $850 million. It was such a hit. Sony had an amazing year last year.
Weird ass looking Woody Harrelson at the end.
Yeah.
I'm Woody Harrelson.
What a great actor to pair next to another amazing actor, which is Tom Hardy. I'm excited for Venom 2. I'm sure it's going to have a budget increase, seeing that it almost pulled in $1 billion. Do you think Andy Serkis is going to double up and maybe have a tiny role as something motion capture?
Of course. Why not? That's what he's known for. That's what he's great at. Like, fuck, if that's what I was good at and I was directing a movie, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be in this too.
I can't remember if he played someone in Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. I feel like he did.
I'm sure he did.
But if he did, that's another confirmation of, put him as another symbiote. If they're doing Maximum Carnage, then clearly there can be different symbiotes that he can play. If you really wanted to go all out, he can play Scream, which is a female symbiote, and it's like, great, why not? Like in the Arkham games, that was one of the jokes when the behind the scenes stuff came out of the motion captures. The Harley Quinn character or the motion was played by a guy who was doing all the moves, and they're like, haha, look, this is played by a guy, and you guys were jerking off to that motion capture, and it's funny, it's still funny, but I want that to be the case, because if you can pull off an award or an Oscar or something out of that, some kind of recognition as playing Scream, it's like, holy shit, this is the best on-screen symbiote even after Tom Hardy. We're gonna be there for day one of Venom 2.
Of course.
We did enjoy the first one, and there were still rumors of, will Tom Holland's Spider-Man be in Venom 2? And it's like, if
it doesn't need it.
It's clear now exactly that Venom stands on his own.
We don't know. It might need it.
Now, people are saying that maybe there'll be a Spider-Man, like a separate Spider-Man that's in the Sony universe, that's a little bit older, that would fit in with the Venom. But even then, I still don't think they need him, especially if they have Carnage already. Venom is established as the hero, the protagonist, and they did a good job with that in the first one. Then why not just continue to develop his story? They're bringing back his love interest, and she's already said that she would love to play She-Venom again. So there's a lot that they can really play with without needing especially Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Do you think they'll get Eminem to come back? Because that's all I really need.
That was the key, right? Yeah. They really need to have him come back.
It's Venom.
Do a sequel. Do a Carnage one.
Venom. Yeah, he could be like, ooh, it's Carnage.
It's got to happen. And good on Woody Harrelson. Good on Tom Hardy. And best of luck as they go through with this filming.
So we finally got some confirmation about something we all knew existed, right? Let's be real. We didn't really need this confirmation. But of course, Kevin Smith is always there to help support us just a little bit more.
Is he, though?
Yes. So Kevin Smith has confirmed that the Snyder Cut exists via Cinema Blend.
All these fucking memes immediately came out of Zack Snyder himself says that Snyder Cut is there.
Right.
Just bloggers are quiet. But if Kevin Smith says it, and they're all like, Kevin Smith said that the Snyder Cut is real. It's like, no fucking shit. How is he more fucking relevant or more of a better source than Zack Snyder himself?
I mean, I guess you could argue that, like, yeah, Zack Snyder could always think it exists in his head.
That's not even the way he said it, though.
I know.
I
know, but I think it's different when you're the creator of something, right? Because I could sit there and say, yeah, I made this cool fan fiction. Well, my fan fiction is a page long, but yeah, I made it.
The issue, too, I have is that Kevin Smith will pick up things from the internet and then regurgitate it on his podcast or his shows. And then people are like, oh, that's a great idea. Michael Keaton as Old Man Batman in a live-action Batman Beyond. Kevin Smith made that up himself. It's been on the internet for fucking years.
Right.
And now he's doing the same thing here. I'm glad that him and Ben Affleck have recuperated, rekindled their friendship. They hadn't spoken in years. Yeah. Their bromance, and now he's appearing in Kevin Smith's new movie, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. But because of that, he got, I'm sure, some connections with some of Ben's people that may have worked on Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. But now he's opening his mouth and he's saying things that are assumptions that, of course, Kevin Smith can only do. And bloggers are taking that and running with it and making their own fucking articles about how vastly, vastly unfinished Zack Snyder's cut apparently is.
We do have a quote here from Quevin. Quoting
Kevin Smith.
Stop. I can't laugh. It hurts. Why would you do this to me? Now I'm breaking the brokehead's ears with my smoker voice. From Kevin Smith, we have a quote. Quote, I've not seen it firsthand. I've spoken now to enough people at various levels in that production. There is a Snyder Cut, for sure. It's not a mythical beast. It exists. Now, it's not a finished movie by any stretch of the imagination. There were things that went away from the story that they shot and didn't wind up going into visual effects or anything like that. So I would assume, based on what I've been told, that large sections of the Snyder Cut are, previs with a lot of green screen. We're not talking a finished movie. The one I've heard everyone speak of was never a finished film. It was a movie that people in production could watch and fill in the blanks. It was certainly not meant for mass consumption. End quote.
Now, of course, this does contradict things that Zack Snyder once again himself said of there are I have many cuts of the film, and there's one that was meant to go out in theaters before he unfortunately had to leave the project. He talked about how it was 99% done, which is way more than what we're hearing here from Kevin Smith, who has heard from people and
from
no
his
one
friends.
he didn't even work on the fucking movie. The people are taking this as truth. And even Jay Oliva, who worked on the storyboarding for Justice League and is a huge proponent of the Snyder Cut, constantly shooting down nonsense tweets. He spends a lot of time on Twitter just arguing with people in favor of the Snyder Cut because he fucking worked on it. And he believes in the vision that Zack Snyder put forth and what we were meant to see on the big screen. And early on, he was saying that they actually worked on the visual effects coinciding with the shooting. So it was not like a lot of movies where they'll do principal shooting and then they'll do visual effects and special effects and everything afterward. They were doing that side by side and completing things. So it's more complete than what Kevin Smith is making up here, or what he apparently heard from certain people.
Maybe someone was just joking with him, like he made a phone call and he's like, "Is it complete?" And they're like, "No, it's not complete." And then he took it as fact.
The one positive here is that Kevin Smith's fan base were a little bit also on the nonsense side of like, well, I don't know if it's really out there. And even though he had spoken about the Snyder Cut a couple of times on Fat Man on Batman, this is when he's actually coming out and saying that there is a cut of this film. At the very least, it's still good for the movement. It's still more people, more attention, more articles that are going out there about release the Snyder Cut. So overall, still a positive thing. I just have an issue with the way the assumptions that he made, or the conclusion he came to based on people that weren't the fucking director of the goddamn movie or the storyboard artists.
Well, hopefully this will get more traction to actually get this movie released, the Snyder Cut that we are all waiting for. But flipping on over to the small screen, we will be saying goodbye to the Arrow television series.
And while Arrow is ending, network president Mark Pedowitz says that they don't plan on ending any others. That's something they were concerned with because there are other CW superhero shows from the DC side that they were worried may not be performing as well as Arrow did, and they would slowly be cutting all of those, but apparently it's not the case.
We have a quote here from him, quote, "We believe in these franchises. This universe will continue for many, many years. Hopefully, it will be a long time from now before discussions about ending those series will happen." End quote.
That definitely surprised me because I don't hear my customer fan base really talk about the television side of superheroes as much as they used to. They all kind of say the same thing of, yeah, I used to watch The Flash, I used to watch Green Arrow, I used to watch Daredevil, and I just kind of fell off of all of those. And that's kind of the case with the CW shows. They're not great shows, but they're good for that particular network where a lot of teens watch those and a lot of very casual audience members do watch them. And I know comic readers were very attached to them. We watched the first 2 seasons of The Flash. Arrow was never for me. I didn't like that show. I thought the acting was fucking terrible. But with DC's Legends Tomorrow has its moments. And Constantine, which was never on the CW, was amazing. That was a sci-fi show.
We did watch the first, season and a half of Supergirl also? Yes,
and that was before it went on the CW, so I don't know if I would really count that even as a CW show. It definitely changed after it went on the CW, but it's good. They must be getting ratings. They must be getting something that is telling the networks, no, we can keep writing on this. The numbers are there, so why not continue it? And they are moving forward with a huge event, which is a massive CW crossover called Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this is all fucking fan service. The biggest of fan service, the shit that is saying, you like that? You like Smallville? You have to watch this. You like this? You have to watch this. I'm like, what do you got for us? Like, what do you got for me, man?
What do you got?
What you got? Oh, you got fucking Kevin Conroy. Batman himself is going to come back and he's going to play live-action Batman for the first fucking time. And it's like, yeah, fuck you, Daniel. Fuck every DC fan now has to watch this fucking shit.
Fuck all of you. And you know what?
Yeah, man, they fucking got me.
We do. We have to watch it. Because this is never in my life did I think that this could happen. I always dreamed of it, right? It was a far off dream. And here it is in front of me.
There's rumors that Mark Hamill will be playing live action Joker too.
I have chills. Don't tell me this. Stop it. You can't. Okay, go ahead. Put it in the universe. Make it happen.
It's fucking amazing. It's the only part of that fucking crossover I need to watch. That's
it.
all I care about. Is that I know there's
it's like
Brandon Routh.
It's like when Constantine showed up in Arrow and we fast forward through the whole show just to see him.
And as we will do with DC's Legends of Tomorrow when
100%.
those finally go on Netflix. But this is an amazing bit of news. I know Kevin Conroy is thrilled about the opportunity. I'm seeing tweets of, well, he's really going to have to bulk up, or he's kind of skinny. Are they going to put an armor suit on him? Is he going to be Dark Knight Returns Batman? He's kind of old. Is he going to be Old Man Bruce? I'm like, all of these are nothing tweets. I don't care if he doesn't bulk up. It's Batman himself. Put him in a fucking suit, have him speak. I believe it's Batman. I'm looking at fucking Batman.
He could play 30-year-old Bruce Wayne in his regular old brown suit with his yellow shirt, and I would believe that he's 30-year-old Bruce. Like, let him play whoever he wants. Don't make that man exercise. He's too old. He doesn't need to exercise.
He doesn't need to be Old Man Bruce. No. He doesn't need to be. He's Batman already. You see him, he's fucking Batman. I don't give a shit about these assumptions or what he's going to be or whatever they end up doing, I'll be fucking fine with it as long as he is goddamn Batman. Even if they say he's a different character, I'm like, no, that's fucking Batman. And he's coming back as Batman.
What if they get Mark Hamill and Arlene Sorkin?
That'd be genius too. I mean, I know she's I think she's retired from acting in general. But yeah, they need to bring back Arlene too.
Put some zeros on that check.
The issue is most people are like, no, Harley is Tara Strong.
No, it's not. Get out of here.
That's the issue.
Leave.
I think that's the main problem. No. She's unfortunately not as zeroed in. I don't know why, but she's not as zeroed in of Batman, Kevin Conroy, Joker, Mark Hamill.
Because her voice was cracking.
I think it's because I really don't fucking know why. Maybe it's because Tara took over with Arkham City, and then from there she kind of continued playing Harley, but she still played Harley in the animated series and in Arkham Asylum and in the DC Universe online game.
Right.
That's where I'm confused, and it's also probably because Tara Strong is more active on Twitter, and she's putting up pictures of Arlene Sorkin's Harley Quinn and herself as Harley saying these lines, and it's like, you're confusing the fucking fan base.
Right. I think also Tara Strong is a bigger name, right? We remember her as Bubbles, we remember her as Raven. Like, we've seen her in more things that we grew up with, so it's easier for general audiences to gravitate towards that name. Oh, I know who that is. Oh, she played Harley, right? And then that sticks in your head. Where Arlene, as far as I know, she's only done Harley as far as animated things are concerned, at least animated things that we know, right? So yeah, I can see it. I see why it happens. It sucks because Tara will never be Harley to me, ever.
Since we're not concerned with what Batsuit or what version of Batman they're going to give us with Kevin Conroy, I'm just curious, do you think they're going to dye his hair black for the role as Bruce Wayne? I think they should just leave it, just as is.
Just leave it. Realistically, he's going to play an older Batman. Let's not even kid ourselves. Realistically, he's going to be an older Batman.
But it'll still be Batman.
Yeah.
I don't want fucking Batman Beyond universe. No. I don't want any of that, even though he did play that Bruce Wayne.
Right.
I want to see him put on the fucking Batsuit. That's what I want to see.
Oh, yeah.
And if he doesn't, it's still fucking Batman. And when people are like, oh, he was Bruce Wayne in that show. No, he was fucking Batman.
Yeah. Same thing.
There's only one fucking Batman.
But you will get to see these shows during the 2019-2020 season. We're going to start with Supergirl on Sunday, December 8th at 8/7 Central. We also have Batwoman on Monday, December 9th. This is going to be an action-packed weekend, man. You got The Flash on Tuesday, December 10th. And then the next month, sorry, I had to do math real fast in my head. You have Arrow Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. And finally, DC Legends of Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 14th, 2020.
And what Kelli just read out loud are the Crisis chapters. So these aren't the premieres. These are the actual chapters of this Crisis crossover. So Supergirl, Batwoman, The Flash, Arrow, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow. They did not say where these different iterations of these characters or these actors that are returning as, for example, Brandon Routh playing Superman again, even though it's the Kingdom Come version, it's still Superman. They haven't said where they're going to fit all of these, and I'm assuming that it's going to be each one of these chapters is going to be that particular crossover, that particular universe. So I wouldn't be surprised if, say, the Batwoman episode is going to be the Kevin Conroy version, of that crossover, or at least that chapter.
They're going to be sneaky, and they're going to put all of them in every episode, so you have to watch every episode.
And then in the end, with Legends of Tomorrow, that'll be the conclusion where all the characters will come back.
All of them.
I know the last time they did the crossover for CW, the fans were really happy. Readers were coming in asking me if I had seen that crossover, and it really resonated a lot with them. There were even some hints of like a Red Sun-ish version of that story, but they used Supergirl instead of Superman. So a lot of neat things that they apparently did with that crossover, but they definitely got me by bringing Kevin Conroy and possibly Mark Hamill for this crossover.
And Arlene Sorkin.
Hopefully.
I'm throwing
we'll
it out
see.
there.
Good on CW.
Yeah. Flipping on over to the print side of the comic world, DC Comics co-publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee has opened up about the state of the digital comic book market and how it has, quote, hit a wall.
He told ICV2, quote, "On the digital side, I think it's been pretty flat in recent years, which is a little disheartening. A lot is moving to subscription, and that is having a downward pressure on transactional sales. But I think it's discouraging in general because everyone talks about digital being the future. If there's anything that should continue to grow year in, year out, it should be that channel," end quote. So we do have also Dan DiDio that spoke about the industry as a whole, but not about digital sales or the digital market. We have seen, however, a growth this year on the print side of sales, which could be a number of factors. But what's your take on digital sales actually not growing and instead hitting a steady, possibly downward trend?
It's different from what we expected, right? When they rolled out digital comics, our mindset, I think the mindset of a lot of people were, okay, print's on its way out, right? But we've really seen through this that the market for comic books, the people who are buying comic books are buying it for that collectability. An online comic book is not collectible, right? Everybody can have it. You can distribute it so easily. But having the first appearance of Harley Quinn there in your display case, right? That's something that you can go back to and enjoy over and over and over again. As a whole, I don't think people who read comic books on a mass scale are a general audience, are a casual audience. There are some people who do that, but for the majority, it's people who enjoy feeling that in their hand and picking it up. And this is a perfect example, a perfect representation of that, because this was not something that anybody expected, I don't think. I don't think there was a single person that said, nope, digital's not gonna trump print comic books. And so it's encouraging for me, right? You know, this is part of our livelihood. Obviously, you work in a comic shop and getting to sell those things. But it's so cool to see that that is the direction that people move in, that that's still important to them in such a digital age. I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, are digital comics the same price as print comics?
They are, but that's to favor, they did that from the beginning so that they wouldn't undercut the comic book shops, which obviously places like Amazon do, and I'm very notorious for being against retailers like that, but there's a lot of customers that will support a local business in spite of being able to find something cheaper online because they want to support their community, and of course having physical stores still be a thing, which obviously with comic sales going on the upward trend, yeah, that's the reason why. And I think even if they were to cut down the price of digital comics, it wouldn't affect, there wouldn't be suddenly a spike in sales. I don't think that would help any.
No, and I agree with that. But again, if you're trying to attract more casual readers, right? So if they reduce the price, they would get more casual readers because it's people who are just clicking through and saying, okay, cool, let me just read this one. Oh, $1, cool, let me pick up the next issue. And I see it. I do read a lot of online comics, and they're free through the app that I read it on. You can buy into their Patreon, or you can purchase, you know, they release like once a week, right? You can purchase episodes early. And that's how these authors and creators make their money, is primarily through Patreon. But, you know, that has a lot of casual readers with it because it's inexpensive, because you can binge read all these things, right? And so I think that that's one of the reasons that we haven't shifted into more of a digital market for comic books, because it's okay, for my $4, do I want to flip through 30 pages, which in a digital sense goes very, very quickly? Or do I want to take the time to go, to pick it out, to enjoy the atmosphere of the store, to sit down, to flip through the book at home, to put it away, and all these things? You feel like you get more for your dollar when you pick it up that way.
The consensus I've been seeing online is that people don't like, they like the collectability of comic books. They don't like that they cannot turn around and sell their physical copy of the book, and that it's not something you cannot collect a digital book. And that's the thing about comics. Even if you're reading them, you're still collecting them. You're not speculating, but you're collecting that. There's a hobby that's connected to this, which is the collectability of, even if they're books that are never going to be worth anything, you still like having a full run of a particular series, especially if you like the series, if you like the author, if you like the character, you want to have a full run of a character's story. So there's a lot that goes into, for example, even records. They're not as big of a market as comic books, but there are record stores even in our town where that's still a market. There's still special edition records that come out on certain days, and even artists still release those.
Target carries them.
I didn't know Target still carried records.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I think they brought them back, actually, right?
Yeah, so a lot of artists, like I know Ariana Grande is one of them, Maroon 5, popular artists release records. I feel like Linkin Park had some records too. I don't remember. But yeah, they release, I love Target. So Target and Maroon 5 are friends. So like I'm even more friends with Target. But they'll release like the standard version of the CD, and then the Target version, and then the Target record version. And of course I don't buy the record version, but I do always buy the Target version because there's an extra song on there.
There you go.
Just for me.
I can't speak on my end of it. The reason why, and I've tried digital. We've both tried digital before. Whenever the comics came with that free code, I used to redeem them and, check out the digital version, and it's not the same. I of course did it on my phone first. Too small. I didn't like the panels, and then I tried it on an iPad. Still not the same thing, and still not. What I think frustrated me the most is you can either have the full page on the iPad, which is still, again, not the same, and you can kind of direct your eye to the different panels, or you can have it where it'll direct you panel by panel, which seems very constricting to me as a reader. So I like having the traditional book of being able to hold a comic up to my face, pull it away, and check out the full splash page. All of that, there's a lot of control that you have with a comic book, and with something tangible like that. There is an enjoyment to holding that book and flipping the pages that does not translate at all digitally or to the digital market. I think the digital readers are mainly there to just consume and not enjoy the experience of the book. And there's no right or wrong way to enjoy a comic book. But the mass market is about holding a comic book and reading it, and that's what the experience of comics is about.
Well, and at the end of the day, too, reading a comic book is, yes, I read for the story. There's some fantastic stories out there, but it's art, right? You're looking at the characters, you're looking at the way the artist even constructs the panels and puts the word bubbles and all these things. So if you want to compare it in that sense, going to a museum to see the actual picture versus looking at it on your iPad, right? It's a different experience. People don't stand in front of their iPad going, oh, look, the Mona Lisa, but they go to the museum and stand in front of it and look at it. Is she still in a museum? I don't even know. Anyway, continuing on. So yes, it's a totally different experience. It's again, encouraging to me to see that people still value that in such a digital age.
I think the difference because people are like, how come movies and music shifted on over to digital for the most part as the mass market, but comics did not? When you're listening to a song or when you're watching a movie, you're not holding that artwork. You're not actually, you don't have to hold it or move it around or anything.
You're not sniffing
the record. To actually experience the full thing. Now, I do like to buy my Blu-rays and video games physically because of not only that resellable factor, but I like having something on the shelf that I can look at and actually physically own, especially on the digital market. You don't really know if you're always going to have access to that particular copy, especially if it's tied into some kind of online authentication thing. And whereas if you have the disc, you pop it in and you can start playing, or if you have a VHS, you can start playing it or watching it. And I do like going through the booklets and the casing, and it's while you have some of that in movies and music, it's not the full experience. You're not sitting there with the case as you watch the movie. Whereas in the comics, it's a part, that's what it is. It's a part of the actual product. So there's that major difference between that particular transition. I think just to wrap up what Jim Lee had to say about it, I think his head is a little bit in the wrong place of saying it's disheartening that it's not moving towards the digital market. And I know he said that they need to do a better job of marketing digital books and making the digital experience more exclusive or more special by offering more things like videos or exclusive interviews and things like that. But I don't think that's going to appeal to your major market, which is your average comic book reader. That's all going to be bonus material. It's not going to move us over to digital. And I don't like that he used the word disheartening, because you follow where the sales are. And the sales are obviously in the physical comics.
If they want to make a move towards digital, they need to look at the audiences that are consuming comics digitally, which, you know, outside of DC Comics, right? There's a huge, one of the ones that comes to mind, again, because I read through the app, Korean comics are primarily, like, there's a lot that's on there digitally, but they have a different format. It's one giant panel that goes down and you scroll down with your finger. So you're not clicking through all the different panels. Each panel is laid down as you scroll out. I think I've shown you some of them before, right? So that's the direction that you need to move in if that's what you're trying to push. But you also need to have different content in these comics. You're not going to have the same kind of stories. You're not going to have the same kind of art. It's going to be almost a completely new medium if that's what they're trying to push. And it sounds like from his quote that they're still trying to push their traditional comics, their stories that they have right now, into that market. And as we've seen from the last 10 years, right, that's not where it's going to go. So we'll see.
DC's other co-publisher, Dan DiDio, who I do like, very nice guy, and I've met him a few times, spoke on the health of the overall comic industry, also with ICV2. Familiar story, but he did expand on his thoughts of the current market.
He said, quote, "Where my concern comes from is more about the over-reliance on nostalgia, speculator marketing, variant covers, and a lot of things that seem to be driving numbers in sales to give the appearance of a healthy industry, but it's not built on the ongoing success of the individual titles in order to keep those numbers successful and maintained," end quote.
So the Dio's head is in the right space in some part of this, because it has to be the story that drives sales, not this is a first appearance. It's about appealing to your readership and not appealing to the speculators. That's what almost killed comics in the 90s with the many copies of Spawn that people bought up and many copies of Death of Superman and all of these things that are now worth $25 tops on certain ones. But that's the kind of thing where if you appeal to those readers, to the speculators, they're not going to be there on day 2 or day 3. They're only going to be there for the next speculator book, for the next first appearance, or for the next big event, or for the next low print run book. If you appeal to your readership, they're the ones that are buying books every single month or every single week, and that's your sales, that's your market, that's your bread and butter. So I do agree with him on that end. There is a place for variants, and they're doing it, once again, the right way, where there's 1 or 2 variants for DC. There's not 18 of them like Marvel's doing. And that's, unfortunately, the way Marvel does it is it pads the numbers, as he was mentioning here, is it gives an illusion of sales. Whereas if you have 1 or 2 variants, then you're offering just the covers. You're not trying to sell as many of the same comic as possible, which I get. That's the business. That's what you're trying to do. But if your focus is on the story and the quality of books, then there's going to be sales that drive that particular market. This is why every single week when I pull up the sales at my shop, the trades and hardcovers, these are the collections of classic stories or stories that are just months old. When they put them together in a comic, DC's are always higher than Marvel's. Their stories have a longer shelf life and they're classics. You're always going to sell The Killing Joke, Superman Red Sun, Superman for All Seasons over what Marvel has done. And they have theirs, which are like Civil War, Infinity Gauntlet, but they don't have enough of them. And that's what you need to focus on, so you have that long-lasting sales as well as the current ones. Something like DC, something as current as what we got with the
Court of Owls.
Well, the Court of Owls, but even more recently, there was the Dark Knight's Metal. I'm still selling the hell out of the trade. I know the story wasn't great. People love those evil Batmen. It's kind of like Blackest Night. people love that story. I like Jeff Johns. It's not my favorite Green Lantern arc, but I still sell the hell out of Blackest Night. So sometimes it's all about the concept and a good idea that then drives those sales as well. So I do agree on that, but variants need to be cut down. DC's doing it okay. Leave it as is. The nostalgia factor, I know he's talking about the facsimiles. Once again, those are fine because they're not affecting, as we said before,
right.
They're not sacrificing in place of the readership. Those are an extra sale or an upsell, if anything.
But overall, it sounds like DC has their head in the right place. They're doing right by the retailer, and they continue to do so by offering returnability on their books.
That's right, and Harley Quinn Poison Ivy #1 is the latest one to be made fully returnable by DC. I know they said it matches Batman #75 sales. I forgot what the percentage is, but the reason it's easily hittable is because they're also offering 2 variant covers, one of Harley Quinn, one of Poison Ivy, done by Stanley Lau, Art Germ himself. Even if I were to base my very base variants that I would normally order, not trying to hit that number, it's like, what, 10 more copies and I'll make these returnable? Fuck yes. We did it with Superman Batman. I had to match, I forgot which title it was. It might have been Action Comics or another Batman series, but it's like, all right, we'll match it. We'll cross-pull it for everyone down for Batman and Superman. We'll return the rest. Like that incentive isn't as high as like, you know, what Marvel does with 200% of what you ordered. It's like, get out of here. But for returnability, if Marvel did returnability, I'd be more inclined to, all right, maybe I will bump up my numbers a little bit. Don't increase the discount, make it returnable. And they're doing, once again, they're being retailer friendly by making huge titles like Batman, Superman, like Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, returnable.
Harley Quinn Poison Ivy is going to do great. You're not going to be returning any of those.
I'll return some. I will.
I don't think so.
This issue is set to release on September 4th.
And DC just continues to give us more content. We now have what's coming to the DC Universe August 2019. So this is the DC Universe app with all these amazing shows and movies.
The only thing I didn't include are the digital comics because, one, it's not something that we touch at all. But there's also kind of a hefty list on that end. But these are things that we can actually talk about. And the first one on this, joining this month, is 2005's Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves.
Never saw it.
I remember liking it a lot. When I saw it in 2005, I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was working in the movie theater, and we used to get the posters as well. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the Constantine poster, and I had that in my room. There's a lot of neat ideas in there, especially near the end. There's some twists that are like, holy shit, especially if you're used to the traditional thoughts of like good and evil, God and the devil. So there's a lot of neat play there. But if you view it as a Constantine comic, then it's not Constantine. It is Constantine. It's like a whole different thing. But I think it's worth watching once. There's a couple of performances there. Rachel Weisz is actually the co-star of the movie, and she's awesome. I love Rachel Weisz. So if anything, it's worth watching it for her. Keanu is pretty flat in it, to be honest. He is nothing like Constantine, but you know, it's worth checking out, at least even for the special effects.
This is a great year for Keanu Reeves. I'm proud of him. He's a meme. Like, people love him.
They do. He's a vampire is what they keep saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Good for him.
Another addition of DC Universe is the HD remaster of Batman Beyond Season 1.
You can hear that in like HD.
They did the same thing with Batman the Animated Series. They did the first 2 seasons in HD, then they brought out the full Blu-ray collection, which had all 4 seasons, and then they brought out the rest on DC Universe. It sounds like it's the exact same thing with Batman Beyond. Blu-ray collection will have the full thing. They'll eventually have it on DC Universe. Since it's already included in DC Universe, I might go in and watch select episodes in the series just for the HD transfers, but not something that I'm running to watch. But I know a lot of people love Batman Beyond. Definitely has its following, and that's something that's a huge addition for DC Universe.
We also have the animated Batman Hush movie,
which I'm really happy about because I did not want to buy it, especially after watching the Batman TMNT animated movie and then hearing that it's not like the book, really. It's not an adaptation of the comic. but there is a lot of Batman Catwoman love stuff in there, so maybe you'll like it more than I do.
I'm so
but
ready.
To watch it as as something that's already included in DC Universe, sure, I'll check it out. That's how I watched Batman Ninja, and I'm glad that I watched it in that way because I felt like I enjoyed it a little bit more than if I had paid to watch it.
Right. And the final thing on our list is the 1967 Aquaman animated show.
So I was reading the comments on this, and there were quite a few people happy about this cartoon being on there. They're like, finally, one of the most underrated DC cartoons. I'm like, holy shit.
Is that the one where he talks to fish like he has the sonar? Like, woo,
yeah, you see the GIFs
woo.
all the time. Like, I know there's the Super Friends that did that. But this is the one where you actually see him, like where he has the flying fish that he's riding on and all that stuff. That's where this comes from.
Oh, I feel like I watched some of that when I was a kid, but I really don't remember it.
And apparently there's quite a number of episodes of this. When I was looking at the images that were being used to promote it, it almost looked like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon or something out of Scooby-Doo. So I'm like, fuck yeah, man. That's a look that I like. It's nostalgic to me. I'll check it out. I've never watched it. It was never accessible to me, especially being that I was born in the 80s. Like, they weren't rerunning that shit, at least not on any basic television channels that we had.
They had to be rerunning it somewhere because I saw that. I remember watching the Super Friends or whatever it was called. It all came on Sunday morning when I would watch Lois and Clark and the Green Hornet and Wonder Woman. Like, it was in that run, whatever TV station it was. So, because I remember seeing at least a few episodes of this.
We'll definitely have to check it out this month. And once we actually, for example, watched, I think the first one we should check out is Constantine. We'll have our brief thoughts here on the show, and it'll be interesting to see it, especially compared to something that we have that's much better now. But at the same time, that was the first Constantine live action adaptation of that character.
2005 was a simpler time.
But there you have it. That is our regular news for the week. We still have the comic book review for the week and some Brocat questions that we're going to answer at the very end. But first, our Patreon shoutouts of the week.
Our first shout out goes out to Brian, whose Twitter handle is @BrianSchaub1.
Brian retweeted Variety's video tweet of Guillermo del Toro posing with a Mexican flag he brought along for his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony.
I'm so proud of that man. About time.
I thought he had one already.
No,
I don't know why it took so fucking long.
The budget was too high. He asked for too much money. He wanted practical effects for that star.
he didn't want a molding. He wanted an actual artist to come in and drop each pebble.
He wanted to carve it. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing.
Machine carved, Guillermo. We can just do this quicker. No, I want one man to actually carve it.
It must be a man.
It won't be as good, though. I know someone. He charges a lot of money. But
$5 million.
We'll get it done.
Just for the star. $5 million.
I love that. That's really neat. He's very prideful, of course, of where he came from. And he often celebrates the different friends in the industry that he has. And he's about to come out. It actually came out this week, the Scary Stories movie that he's producing. It looks like a lot of those characters are using special or practical effects.
Right.
So that's why they look extra creepy when you watch the fucking trailer. They look like real ghosts and monsters that are in there. There's a scarecrow that runs around. I don't know if you ever read the Henry story.
No.
It's probably the one I remember the most because it creeped me out. But in that, they're using a person in a fucking costume running around. Like, it's so fucking cool. And of course, it had to be Guillermo. I need to know that budget of that movie.
You can go see that without me. I can't do it.
I will watch it.
I can't go see it. I can't do it.
I thought you were a Guillermo fan.
I am, but I can't see spooky stories.
If he directed it, would you have then seen it?
Yes.
All right. Then.
But I would have been so scared.
I was just testing your Guillermo fandom.
Yeah.
That's all.
Him producing, I can skip it.
Yeah, he produces everything.
Yeah,
so.
Pretty much.
Anything he dropped out of directing, like Scary Stories, he eventually just produces.
Yeah, of course. Next up, we have Kat, whose Instagram is @CatShaw.
Kat posted a granola bowl meal complete with coconut shavings, strawberries, and blueberries. Reminded me of that acai bowl that we had at the mall. I love that kind of shit. Whenever it's like this healthy fucking meal and something like this with coconut shavings and granola, it's like, now she's a photographer as well. So check out her Instagram for photography, there's, I know, some makeup promotions and tips on there. And then, of course, meal pictures like this one.
Next up, we have Matt, whose Twitter handle is @Mr. Forklift.
Matt posted on our Discord the theme parks article that while Disney was more profitable for this quarter, park attendance had actually dropped. So I'm not sure what caused it. I'm not too into the theme park scene, but being that we are in Florida, how the parks perform does affect the overall economy, of course, of the state. So that is a pretty big factor as far as attendance. And I think one of the things is the prices and the prices that they're setting. I don't know it's obviously on purpose, not just for the money, but do you think that they're trying to appeal to a certain crowd, or trying to maybe only have certain people be able to attend the park, people that can actually spend money?
I could probably do an entire podcast just on this. There's always a bottom line, right? There's always a budget that they need to meet. So recently we raised the prices for all employees at Walt Disney World, right? They raised the prices for all employees, or they will be making $15 an hour. So now you have to increase prices everywhere else to offset that. So you're increasing ticket prices, you're increasing food prices throughout the park. And while they don't stop you from bringing in food, right? How many people are really going to take the time to pack up lunches for the whole family when they're staying in a hotel and bring them? The argument that you could make is that they're providing a premium service. Yeah, when you go to Disney, you get fun rides. Once you're in there, except for food, you don't really have to pay for anything. Of course you do. You pay for the food and the merch and et cetera, et cetera. But you're paying that premium price for a premium product. The problem is, I think they're quickly approaching a price that's too high. $125 per person for a family of 4 is what, $500 at that point?
For one day, right?
For one day. $500 for one day in the park. And a lot of families can't pay that, especially right now, especially with what's going on in the country. So while they're still bringing in a lot of tourists, right? You're bringing in people from other countries because it's cheaper to fly here. Like, it's cheaper for them because of the conversion rate for the dollar. But as far as locals, family in the U.S., that's why you're seeing attendance drop. But prices are still going up, and prices will continue to rise. So it's unfortunate. I think they will hit a ceiling very soon with that. And even now we've seen a little bit where prices will fluctuate, right? So for slower times, it's a little bit less money. Annual pass holders with the Florida discount, right? They have a lot of, if you go after 4 p.m. on weekdays, it's only $90 for the year, right? Little things like that, which I think they'll continue to see more of. I could go on forever. We got to move on. I can't.
Final shout out this week goes out to Jared on Twitter @SpoonSandwich, and his YouTube channel is youtube.com/Jared Monroe.
He tweeted, quote, "Just like it should be, Spotify has #Into the Spider-Verse as the first result for Spider-Man," end quote.
Hell yeah, you have to have the Spider-Man as done by Sony Animation. So well done, Spotify. I'm a big fan of Spotify.
I love me some Spotify.
Hosts our show and does well by us as well. We have some listeners on there. So if you're listening on Spotify, thank you very much. And thank you, Spotify and Jared, of course, as well as Matt, Kat, and Brian this week for your Patreon support.
If you too would like to be a Patreon backer and get your shout out every single month for as little as $1 a month, that's 25 cents an episode, sometimes less if we have an extra week in there, you can head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke and sign up for yourself.
And it helps keep us going as well. It covers the costs of the uploads, and we use all kinds of different services for the recording of the podcast to make sure that the audio is leveled out, to make sure that the background noises are a little bit cleaner or filtered out than what we used to have back when we first started. So all of that goes a long way in helping out with the quality of the show. So thank you once again to all of our backers.
But of course, guys, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do is reach out to us on Twitter, as some of you did this week. Ask us some questions, but also let your friends know about us. It helps spread the word as a show. We've had a very successful July.
We definitely have, and we'll see where August takes us. Let's head into the comic book highlight of the week.
This week, our comic book highlight is The Sensational Spider-Man Self-Improvement #1.
This is written by Peter David and Randy Schuler, with art by Rick Leonardi and colors by Rochelle Rosenberg.
As you said in the beginning, this is the idea, the original concept for Black Suit Spidey before he became an alien.
Exactly. So, to anyone familiar with Venom fans, I think, should all know this story, but it's kind of like that comic book lore or true, I don't know what you even call that, like legend of the Venom suit, is that it was originally submitted by a reader or a fan, an aspiring writer and artist that wanted to give Spider-Man that new look with his costume and had a story idea, and that's where the writing credit here comes from Randy Schueller. He's that person, and it included designs of the black suit Spidey as we know, except his concept had a red Spider-Man logo. The eyes were still white, but it was a red logo, and then the triangles on the wrists were red instead of white as well, but otherwise everything else it's exactly as we know Spider-Man to look like now. But as you mentioned, the origin is very different, and that's what this story tells us. It's not his exact idea. There's some things that they omitted and changed, but that's because he is not a comic book writer.
Right.
At the very end of the comic, they actually give us the full synopsis or pitch idea as written in text by
That's so cool.
by Randy, including the editor's notes. And the editor's notes do have a lot of cusses, like, why would fucking Super Spider-Man do this? And it's really funny because it's like, yeah, all right, I can see where they trimmed out a lot of shit, because a lot of his stuff was them just talking, and he's like, yeah, but what's happening on the page? What's the artist doing? Why isn't there action? And someone that's actually an editor is actually going in there and saying, no, it has to be a comic book, and that's what they changed and made into this book, and that's what we just read. So the idea is that the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, actually formulates that black suit. It's not alien in origin. It's instead made out of these molecules that are futuristic in their tech. It's what they use as well for their suits. It's fire resistant, which is the main reason why he agrees to it. He comes across a villain and he gets second or third degree burns because his costume is not resistant to that. And then you get the upgrades with the Spider-Man fluid. So it comes out of the top of his hands now, just as we saw with Spider-Man, and it's controlled by his mind. So that's something else that it was his original idea to the Spider-Man outfit. And you get the stronger webbing as well. So there's all kinds of adaptations to this what could have been story. What'd you think of this very simple comic book that I don't think we're going to get a continuation of, but I'm glad we saw the original pitch.
Yeah, I doubt that we'll get a continuation of it. It was a very quick read, like you said, very simple, right? Not something you can really dive into and digest a lot of, but it was an interesting story to see how much of a difference just that suit made. Like, yeah, there were different things that he had to learn with it, but just the perception that came across, the big defining moment in the end, right, is he's trying to help a little girl and she looks at him and she says, no, you're evil. Like, evil people wear black. That's what her mom had always taught her, bad guys wear black, because traditionally villains wear darker colors, right? So that's what she says to him, and he's like, okay, I can't wear this anymore. And, he goes back to the hard work of actually sewing his own suit. So that was pretty interesting. Again, they didn't really dive into that, and there was more, again, a actual comic writer, right, that could really dive into it and flesh out those emotions and all the inner workings of that and what it means for Spider-Man. But it was really cool to see the original concept. I kind of like it better than it being an alien, but I don't know. That's just me.
Well, the issue is there is no costume transforming. The molecules don't let him change his outfit like the symbiote does, and that's actually a really cool feature of an interesting, a better addition to this idea. And I do actually like the black and white look better than that red. I don't think the red fits as well. Like, yeah, it goes fine with black and white, but it's not as unified as what we did end up getting, which is that black and white look, which I think looks really neat. And obviously it ended up making that Venom character look even cooler when he came out of that, and them extrapolating that idea of an alien suit, a symbiote, going into that and becoming a whole separate character has obviously been very profitable for several companies throughout the years.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad that they actually did, that this comic does exist, because before this, it was just kind of like a comic shop story or an internet story that you can pull up. But now you get to see the full original pitch. You get to see it loosely adapted, not even loosely, but pretty much formally adapted into this comic book. There is an ending to him not using that suit anymore, so it's not about creating a villain out of this. But as the original pitch says in it, his idea was that, yes, he learns the lesson of he cannot really use this suit. It's more of a a pleasure than it is a necessity for him, especially since he's not good at using the suit and it doesn't reflect well on the people from New York. So his idea was that he would put away the suit and use it late at night whenever he felt like he wanted to escape, whenever he wanted to, have a donut, if you will, or having that dessert.
Right.
And that's what he compares it to, is having a dessert. So whereas in the comic, he just kind of lets it go and it becomes a learning lesson for him as Spider-Man. And I think if you are a Venom fan, it's not necessary because it has nothing to do with Venom. It has nothing to do with aliens or symbiotes. But if you like the look of Black Suit Spidey, then I do think you should at least see what could have been with this story in the comic book.
But with that, we do wrap up the traditional part of our podcast, right? Moving forward, we have our Broquette block. That's what happened with Daniel and I this week. And we do have some questions from our Broquettes.
We're coming up on the final weeks for the Shazam digital movie giveaway, courtesy of Broquette and Twitter user at DCUFanFam. Thank you so much for providing us with this digital code that we are going to give away. How do you enter? Head on over to speakpipe.com/thereasonsimebroke, and in 90 seconds or less, tell us what your all-time favorite scene in the DCEU was and why.
You have until August 25th. We're coming up on that date pretty fast. So if you would like your digital copy of the Shazam movie, head on over to speakpipe.com. You can also find the link in our description.
All right, Broquette questions before we finish it off on what Kelli and I have been doing this week. First question comes from @SpoonSandwich, who asks, quote, as huge Harley fans, how do you guys feel about the movie Harley Quinn versus comic Harley? End quote.
Are we talking live action movie Harley? Are we talking animated movie Harley?
I'm going to assume he means the live action, especially with Margot Robbie and a lot of this news coming out of Birds of Prey.
I thought Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad was amazing. I felt, again, I'm a huge Harley fan. I absolutely love her in Mad Love and all the things for the animated series, and that's my favorite iteration of Harley. I felt that Margot did a very good job of keeping that spirit there while fitting in with the universe that she was in. If we're talking animated movie Harley, there have been a few that I haven't fully embraced, but if I had to see live action Harley on the screen, I thought Margot did a fantastic job.
She definitely did. I don't think there was anything negative about her portrayal of that character. Us as Harley fans, I mean, it could have been it's very easy to mess up that character, especially if you're looking at fans that grew up with the animated series, which is our Harley Quinn. As we mentioned earlier, it's Arlene Sorkin, not Tara Strong, and even not Margot Robbie. It's always still going to be Arlene Sorkin.
Of course.
But that did translate well to the big screen. And even though her look is more based on the New 52 current adaptation of the comics, I felt like her acting and her portrayal was still classic Harley Quinn instead of the comic currently. She wasn't saying any of her catchphrases from the current comic book. It was still classic Mad Love, Bruce Timpaldini Harley Quinn with the look of New 52 Harley, which we will always still like the Jester outfit, and we saw it on the big screen, which was an awesome thing to watch. The origin is New 52 Harley Quinn, which I did not, that's one thing, but it's not a Margot Robbie portrayal problem. That's more of the story, where they did go with the modern retelling of this is why her skin is white and this is why she goes crazy, and they kind of merged that with the Mad Love a little bit. Whereas we do like the Mad Love version of she can just be Arlene or be Harleen Quinzel, be a normal person. She's still crazy, of course, but that's because the Joker drove her mad from simply speaking to her. It had nothing to do with Ace Chemicals. That's the Harley we like. That aside, though, I think the current comic Harley Quinn is the weakest of the three between Margot Robbie current comics and classic Harley Quinn. Number two being Margot Robbie's, which I do really like. So that's kind of where I stand on Harley Quinn.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I thought that she did a great job. I'm excited to see her continue to portray this character because, like I said, I really felt that she embraced the spirit of the character, and with more time and more opportunity to get to know this character more, I'd like to see where she takes it.
Did you see, by the way, David Ayer, director of Suicide Squad, on Twitter earlier today? I think it was today or yesterday. He put up the original idea because people were saying that What are some things that were cut from your film? Because now we're starting to get into the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, because so much was changed, even from when originally Steppenwolf was supposed to be in that film.
Right. From
what actually got completed and done, there was a whole different version of this movie because of that trailer change and reaction and all of that. But one of the things is they were asking, so what when the Joker lived in that particular cut of the movie, because they did film it and we saw it in the trailers, these different scenes that were not in the movie. After the helicopter scene, you don't see him until the very end of the movie when he breaks Harley out again. But in his original cut of the film, you see him jump out of the helicopter before it falls and explodes. The rest of his crew dies that was flying the helicopter. He's obviously burned by it, but he then makes a deal with the Enchantress to essentially be the king of Gotham, to have Gotham. And he's the one who says, no, I'll make the deal. Being the Joker, he makes the deal that the rest of the Suicide Squad members are tempted by. And the very end scene did have the Joker alongside Enchantress fighting the Suicide Squad.
Right.
And in the changes that were made was Harley Quinn, instead of saying, no, I'm here for my friends and I'm not going to betray them, and then, ends up cutting Enchantress and not going with that particular deal like Joker did, he said, yeah, things were a little bit different in mine, in which maybe she was tempted by the Joker and she does betray her friends, but that's something that certain changes were mandated. So there you go. Wow. And that's something that people were like, well, why would she why would she not go with Joker and instead go with these people that she's known for one day? And he's like, yeah, it's easy to say that as a Monday morning quarterback, but sometimes things are forced upon you. So it's like, holy shit. Wow. Like that also would have been a Harley Quinn thing because she did that with the Gotham City Sirens well, see, I'm going back with Joker. That's her thing. She's always gonna, as soon as he snaps his fingers, he's gonna be right back. She's gonna be right back at his side.
Man, now I want to see that. I have goosebumps.
Next question here from @CubanSlim.
He asks us, quote, if you could be the casting director for the next Batman universe movie, what actor/actresses would you cast in each role and why? What roles are in this film and what is the story?
End quote. And as I've said before, we're not casting directors. I will not ever do any casting, like my fantasy casting, because I'm going to be awful at it. It's, all my choices are going to be terrible. I can answer the question of what a story I guess I would want to watch or the next Batman universe movie, and especially with this now younger Batman that we're going to get with Pattinson, you got to do Court of Owls, I think. If you do something where, it's similar to the Ra's al Ghul story in Batman Begins, where they've always been in Gotham. The League of Assassins have always been there, or League of Shadows in the movie. And they've been trying to make Gotham fall for years. And the Waynes had kind of saved Gotham and kept it limping for years. And that's kind of a great way that they tied in Ra's to the history of Gotham. You play something similar with the Court of Owls and really make this young Batman feel protective of Gotham City against, this league of other assassins of Talons. But I think it's a little bit different because these are people that are actually ingrained as people who have controlled Gotham for years, since nearly the beginning of the city, whereas Ra's is trying to destroy all of Gotham. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a live action Talon on the big screen, even though because it's a younger Batman, it will be inevitably different than the New 52 version.
I think that's a fantastic idea. That wasn't what my mind went to. I don't even know. Again, I read this at 4 a.m, right? So I hadn't really formulated something quite as thought out, but that would be great because the Talons are terrifying, right? When you got that scene in the comics where he's there and it's all these well-dressed people, right? These are very influential people running this city, and you could really show a duality between these people really care about Gotham and wants what's best for it, but Batman also does. So where do we as an audience fall between these two? Because the Court of Owls will probably make pretty good sense on this is where we need to go, right? And I love that when you're an audience member and you have that duality of, which way do I want to lean? So yes, I'm on board. Make it happen.
And another question from Bobby reads, quote, I recently looked over some industry reporting numbers for the comic book industry and was very surprised to see that numbers overall for print media is very healthy compared to just a few years ago. Shocking was the low numbers and low turnover on online app subs for digital comics is what he's referring to. I always thought this would kind of slowly merge into a loss for physical print. However, currently not the case. Are you surprised by this, and what trend have you experienced recently? Thoughts and opinions going forward? We did touch on that earlier, so I'm glad that, even readers, I know he's a physical subscribing comic book reader. So he's a supporter of the physical media industry, and I'm sure he has dived into some digital as well. But it's being noticed by readers. Even it's not just an industry thing. It's readers going, yeah, no, we like this. we prefer physical.
Right. Yeah, it's really great. Again, super surprising for me, especially because when they announced all these things 10 years ago, however long it was, I thought that was the direction it was going to go in, and happily surprised that it hasn't.
So there you go. Thank you so much for submitting those questions, Bobby and Jared. Let's finish things off with how our weeks have been.
I'll go first. My week has been fucking tough. Just fighting this cold. I haven't been sleeping. The other manager that I work with misheard how I needed my schedule, so I just finished an 8-day stretch, which was difficult. The one bright and sunny spot of my week is I did get to break out my favorite fall drink early, and I've been drinking that all week and just living my best life and sharing that, and further getting to mentor and guide and develop the employees around me has been exciting, and I've gotten positive feedback from both them and my boss. So it's been a difficult, exhausting week. I'm happy that the weekend is here and that I'll get to spend some time with you and little Leo tomorrow. Leo is growing and learning. He knows where his nose and his mouth and his eyes and his ears are, which I feel like he just learned overnight. Like he woke up and he just knew. He's sleeping in a big boy bed and he has a big boy car seat, which are hurting my heart as a mom because he's not my little boy anymore. He's a toddler. But that's been my week, just grinding with this smoker voice.
Yeah, it's my days off have also switched a little bit. Last week I had to work at the older comic shop, the original one that I was hired at, to help out with the influx of customers that they were going to have, because at this particular location there's a mall attached to it, or they're inside a mall, and they had this big back to school event which had thousands of kids and parents running around with backpacks that were given out. So they wanted an extra set of eyes on the floor and just an extra set of hands for the register and for the product. And at the same time, they were also running a massive, Pokemon League cup. Well, no, not massive. It's not the biggest cup I've seen, but it's still a large Pokemon event that was being hosted in store as well. So, which Bobby was there for. He was the head judge for that tournament. So I know they really appreciated that. It was fun just being at the old location again and just kind of having that different experience of this is a store about 4 times the size of mine, and just kind of, not stepping on toes because it's not my store. I'm not the manager there. I'm just there to help, but also kind of remembering the different flow of the location and the store, and really touching base with my old coworkers that I had worked with many years ago that are still at that store. So I thought that was really neat. And then we are prepping at the current store that I work at, the one I manage, for our 2-year anniversary, which is coming up this weekend. So it's already here. It's crazy how quickly it's gone. And a lot of subscribers and customers that were there from day one, weekend one, week one, are still there with us now.
Good.
And it's obviously a relationship that has developed over those 2 years. The comic customers are a very introvert crowd, so it's neat to see them. Sometimes it takes 2 years to tell you a little bit about themselves and their lives and the things that they're excited for, especially. And also customers that over the last 2 years who have shopped at, not only competing stores, but stores also owned by, the same owner, that, I do run things with my own imprint here that, has that extra thing that makes them go, oh, they didn't do that there. Like the new comic book day videos, the live streams that I do on Tuesday nights that showcase those comics. I know that's an extra thing that they appreciate and that they like. So all of that it's exhausting to do every week, but that's what makes the difference at this particular location. There are things that I'm working through on my end, not only from the stock levels or, the actual ordering for the store, but also the way I handle certain customers or even customers and all that I have to continue to refine and continue to work on. There are things that you fall back on. There's things that you improve on. And, it's just try to kind of even out everything as much as possible and bump out or, smooth out the bumps. And I think a lot of that is the lack of sleep that I've been going through, raising a 2-year-old almost now.
Yeah.
And all of that really, weighs heavy on top of everything else of managing a store. So that's something that I've never done, and I'm going through it for the first time, obviously. So I think that obviously everything could be done better, but if this were my third kid, I think I'd be
third. Who carrying your other 2 kids? Because it's not me.
Well, I'm saying if this was my third kid, I'd have an easier time like running this 2-year anniversary event.
Right.
So, which I'm sure is a little bit easier than the first year anniversary event. And it is a lot of stress. It's a lot on my mind and a lot on my plate, but 2 years have come and gone, and before I know it, the 3rd-year anniversary will be here. But until then, just focus on there being a 3rd year or 2nd year and retaining the business and customers that we do have in this town that is growing, and we're getting more and more customers every single week. 4 weeks ago, we had our our best non-event week in sales.
That's amazing.
So not including Free Comic Book Day or the holidays. So it's definitely something's going right, and just got to figure it out and continue doing that right thing and trying to get rid of the negatives as much as we can.
Right. But that is what happened with us this week. That was our Brocat block. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to listen, everybody who sent in questions, and of course, all of our Patreon backers.
And by next episode, we will know for sure if we got nominated for the 2019 Podcast Awards. If you voted for us, we really appreciate it. If we did not get nominated, thank you all so much for those of you who did take the time to vote to nominate us for this year's, and also who voted for us last year and the year before, because 2017 and 2018, the Brocat Core came out in strength and helped us in getting that Games and Hobbies nomination for those years. So all of that goes a long way and adds fuel to our tank.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in this and every single week. I am your Emperor Palpa Kelli.
And I am Scientist Daniel.
And Brocat Core. All will be well.